relationships with a game mindset. Don't go into it assuming people are going into it genuinely looking to connect from a natural space of resonance and compatibility and attraction and interests. That's not the norm. So the genuinely naive individual goes into relationships like a child. They just want to make friends and they want to interact mostly with the people that they enjoy the most, people that they're attracted to based on the energy that person has, based on the interest that person displays. The things that attract us are the things that we're interested in, that we want to learn more about, want to be around more, want to feel more connected to. And so that in itself, people will put up walls over that simply because if I'm going to be magnetically drawn to this, if this thing is going to be pulled into me, then it needs to feel safe. It needs to feel good. It needs to feel welcome. It needs to feel not resistant. It needs to feel like it's a natural flow. The moment you start to feel barriers come up, or you start to see resistance, or you start to see challenges, or you start to see conflict, it's like, wait, why all of this? This isn't normal. It's not, and it doesn't mean that it's bad either. It just means there's a lot of uncertainty in this situation. But a lot of uncertainty could also be a lot of lack of experience in a certain area of life. And so for me, it's like we cannot avoid experiencing these things, but we can prepare ourselves to meet it without fear, to trust that when we meet it, that we can deal with it. And then when we accept that, and the person chooses not to deal with it right then and there when it arises, then you know the level that this person is interacting from. And then you know what move to make next. You know whether or not to pursue that and keep pushing, because there's no reason to push. And you can move over and let them be. Anyway, back to leverage. So, as leverage is something that people actually use when it comes to interacting, being someone that says, oh, I don't operate that way, I like things to flow naturally, and I get that 100, but it behooves one to understand at least what is the true value of what you have to leverage. Because, or at least understand, despite your true value, understand how that person is looking at what you have to leverage. Because if that person tries to convince you that what you have to leverage is worthless, and you don't know the value of what you have to leverage, you just might sell yourself short. And you don't ever want that, because it's not true. We all have key points that we can bring to the table that will be major leverage to any interaction. The thing is, if you're the type of person that's never been a factor, because to you it wasn't a game to play, it was a reality to experience, a truth to be had, or a dynamic that you perceived as common sense, I guess, to the point of, I like you, you like me. I bring the best to the table of me, you bring the best on the table of yours, and we disclose what we don't like. We disclose what we don't like to show to the rest of the world, but to each other we can. It's like, can you actually be that real? Can you actually be that honest? Most people don't do that because of the judgments that they've experienced of that others have had of them. So that's one reason why people don't disclose who they are. And then another reason is they don't want to disclose all of who they are out of fear, again, that the person, if you just show them everything at once, then they're going to be bored within a year or way less than that. But that's also a fallacy, because if someone sees all of me and they actually tell me, I already saw everything I need to see from you and I'm already bored. And even if they don't say that, if their actions say, oh, you're not a challenge, therefore I need to go be challenged elsewhere, then you know that this person is already looking at relationships as not something to be had and grow with, but something to be played and moved on from when the level has been beat. You see what I mean? They're not looking for that dynamic. So it's like, okay, once you understand that this is how the majority operates, and that there's a rare few that know how it operates, know how to play those strategies, but prefer not to, those rare few that prefer not to and put all the cards on the table and say it like it is, that person respects you more, values your time more, values your life journey better than anyone else, simply because they know who they are and they know what they have to offer, and they're not going to sugarcoat it, simply because they already made their intentions be known. This is how I feel about you. I already see what you got going on. Therefore, because I see what you got going on, I want you in my space. But this is what I got going on. And this is what I offer. And this is what I do want to see come out of it. Anyone that can bring you to that place right on the spot and be like, this is how it is. And also, the man that does that, or the feminine, the woman that does that, isn't doing it out of a game or a tactic or a strategy. You won't even feel it as that, because you could tell the difference when someone is using it as a strategy but they don't believe it. You can tell, because it comes off as like, it puts you off. It's like, gross. I see you utilizing tactic and it looks ugly and it's just not cute, right? So it's like, but when you're genuine, real, and honest and matter of fact of who you actually are, and this is how it is, you know when another person is at the level. So it won't be a conflict. It'll just be a very matter-of-fact conversation about a very matter-of-fact situation that is eye to eye. This is where we are, and this is how it is. And there is no hard feelings if one or the other isn't at the same place. It's just, okay. It's like acceptance without the judgment, without the fear, without the retaliation, without the animosity. There's pain, of course, in not getting what we want out of a situation, or not partnering well with another as we wanted. There is pain associated, but that's short-term pain is way better than the pain of having invested years of your time and energy into something that's not fruitful because it was never authentic to begin with. It was just a bunch of gaslighting experiences. It's kind of like looking at the market and never quite getting your money. You're just being told that the money's going up, the money's going down, it's going up, it's going down. But when it's up, like in the movie, what's that movie? Wolf of Wall Street. It's almost like when the money goes up, what do? You want to cash out as the investor. You're like, yeah, I want to see results. I want to see my gains in my hands. I want to see the results of what I invested in X amount of time ago. And the moment you want to do that, they're going to give you all these reasons why you can't cash out right now because you're going to end up losing. And you just got to keep trusting and keep investing in it. That's also done in relationships. So it's like, no, I'm not going to keep blindly investing if I don't see it going in the trajectory that I'm supposed to go, and I'm not reaping the results that I know I should be based on, you know what I mean? So it's like, you got to look at the emotional investment you're willing to put in and how much emotional investment another person is putting into you. You need to look at how much mental energy are you giving to being in harmony with this individual. Like, are you constantly trying to figure them out, or do you feel safe and relaxed? Is your mind calm around them, or is it constantly in wonderland? That's a lot of investment that I don't think you'd want to put in because that takes up a lot of energy. So when you're not constantly wondering, it's because that person is constantly investing mentally. They're communicating with you. So the communication makes the mind energy calm. Why? Because there is no chasing thoughts about what's going on between us. Like, that just doesn't even make sense in reality. What's going on between us? Whatever's going on between us, it's either there or it's not there. It's either we are having a two-way conversation or you're absent-minded from this connection and there's no reason for us to even engage. So you see how the mental connection can play a role in how people leverage your energy for themselves. A person using strategy is going to strategize if what he wants is for you to gas him up, right? That means for him to impress someone else, he needs to feel confident. So he'll go to the person that gasses him up to feel important, to feel valuable. Like they let that person mentally feed them ideas of who they are in order for them to project it to someone else. So that's leveraging your mind, but to use that energy to project it onto someone that's going to give them not what they want from you, but what they want from that person in the immediate third dimension. It's crazy, but it's how people are, apparently. So, a true connection, the person is mentally invested in you. That means you're actually communicating. You're not wondering. Emotionally, you're supported, feeling just as equally as you're giving attention, as you're giving care, as you're giving concern about their well-being. You're receiving that in return. This person is considerate of you, your time, your needs. You're safe in communicating with them day, your journey. There is no, oh, if I talk about this, there's going to be an argument. Or if I talk too much about that, they're going to get bored and leave. Like, can you imagine living that fucking shit? Fuck, that's ridiculous. Then there's the physical. Are you even together? Are you even able to spend time together without being irritable, irritated, frustrated, feeling like you need to be left alone? Or are you so content with your time that you're neglecting other things around you? Are you so consumed by each other's presence that you can't even see the outside world? In certain moments, that's wonderful. But in other situations, that can be detrimental. If it's a work situation, you can't focus on work, or you can't do your work, or you don't even notice how people can see what you have going on together because you're so consumed by each other. You're so into each other. You see, you can see it in the physical, you can see it when it's mental, and you can see it when it's emotional. But what is hard to see is when you're in the psychology of it all, your own patterns you fall into, or you get consumed by someone else's patterns, that you can't step out of it long enough to really observe it and be like, wait a second. Is this a natural evolution of our psychologies meshing together? Or is this a strategic outcome that you're manipulating to look or feel or act or behave in certain ways? So the only way that you would know that is, are you moving in your own natural flow? And are you mentally focused or aware of where your energy is being directed? Are you emotionally aware of what is your true vibration versus a vibration that's being imposed onto you? And are you doing you? Are you doing what is good for you without feeling hindered or restricted? Are you able to move how you want to? And knowing those things, there's so much that can be balanced from that. Not just your relationship with one or several individuals, but your relationship to what you do as far as what you do in your day-to-day routine, how that impacts you, how that makes you feel. So understand that you either are doing things mentally, emotionally, or physically that give not just you, that empower you only. It's leverage, because giving that to someone, giving that experience to someone, benefiting that person, that individual, that is leverage. But we take for granted, or we think that it's not leverage because it's not something that is tangible, but it creates tangible results. It's that mindset that creates that emotional vibration that manifests that thing. So imagine if someone is using your energy to leverage them to manifest what they want, and they're strategically withholding energy from you, so that not only are you feeding that energy, thinking that it's supposed to be feeding, it's like you're emptying out your cup to fill this land. That person is keeping their cup full, and when the rewards get to be reaped, they take it like I'm holding it for us. I'm holding it for us. Just keep investing. Just keep investing. And you keep pouring in. Before you know it, you're either needing to replenish from what you've sown, or that person needs to give you your portion of your harvest. And that's what happens when you choose to give your energy outside of you into things that you're not personally taking accountability for or reaping the rewards for, because the control is in your own hands. And that's the thing about how people leverage people. It's a subset of behaviors that comes from the mindset of interacting with people, not from a place of genuine desire to get to know another human being, but from, oh, I scoped out the place and I see that you would benefit me here, you would benefit me in that, you would be great for this project I got going on, you would serve my personal needs and you would serve my needs to feel great. I'm going to go cater to your mind or your emotions, and I'm going to go present myself to you the way that I believe you would give up that thing that I see you would be good for me. That's how this individual would look at when they say walk the room. You know what I mean? But this could be walking the room of a nightclub, of a restaurant, of a gym, of work, an office space. This is also on an energetic field. Walk the room could be in a community, online community. This person could be someone that's interested in technology. So they go into all these little, Facebooks and Instagrams and TikToks, whatever, of those community, of those types of people. And you generally start to see that this person not follows this account, but they also follow that account and that account. And when you get connected, and you can kind of start to see similar individuals here and there. Not always, but every so often, you'll see, you like something, be like, oh, this person liked this too. Oh, wow. On another page, this person liked this too. I liked it. So when you read a room in a social media space, you're picking up on the trends of that social media space. And those trends are aligned with you or not. And then from there, you scope out the room in the sense of who's involved in there and how much are they involved and how that person's involvement benefits you somehow. But as a man in pursuit of a partner, that's part of the way that he assesses who's a partner. He hones in on the parts of himself that are the most personal. And what is in that space is going to be what relates to him in that space. And depending on what that space is for him, that's where he finds the person that he feels understands that part of himself. Now from there, that's just that one aspect. Is it the most important? Sometimes that's the thing. A man might say, I want this person to fill this specific thing for me. But they don't have to fulfill all these other parts. And so then they find someone else to fulfill this specific need. And then that's where the games come in. But to connect with one individual and develop despite them not having the innate, the innate qualities that would meet those needs, but can develop, what you would look for is then the person that would meet your need at the core, like the most pertinent need. That as long as that pertinent need is met and you know that this person authentically, genuinely can meet that, then all else can fall into place, or doesn't have to necessarily fall into place. But how genuine and authentic you can be with that person will enhance the dynamic versus keeping it gaslit and all this other stuff only perpetuates the inevitable downfall of that connection and possibly severing the parts that were natural or authentic, because it could possibly potentially create a block there. So understanding not just what another person may want to view, but what you need or want from a person, but also knowing how that person perceives your needs and wants. Is it really are your needs and want really that unvaluable that it only gets that much of that person's investment? So that person could be lacking in that area, unwilling to develop in that area, despite knowing that fulfillment of those areas with you only enhances the parts that already work in harmony with you. So people are willing to not invest based on the probability of how much effort they would have to make in order to benefit from the connection. It doesn't balance the sheet, so to speak, to some people to do any effort. So be mindful of individuals on all levels in that way, because connecting, you get to certain levels when your dynamics are no longer base 3D physical things. People are more mentally connected to each other than before. People are also more emotionally aware of each other than before, and more willing to speak up about it, and more willing to address those things and not get gaslit. Know how to point out and not accept the tried and true, oh, you're just crazy. Oh, I'm going to run away now because I refuse to let you call me out on this. People are not willing to put up with those behaviors, because it's like we're beyond that small behavior of not taking accountability, or of pretending that what isn't physical can be seen and felt as well, because it's a tactic that has been manipulated. So to pretend that it's not being used, it's like, okay, like I said before, oh, I don't use tactics. Well, tactics are being used whether you use them or not. You might as well learn about tactics. Even if you don't use it, it's better to know that how tactics are used and how they're being leveraged against you, than to not know at all and pretend and hope that someone knows about these tactics and doesn't use them wrongly on you, unjustly on you. Because that's where we are in life. At least I am. And it's like, wow, is that really the lessons I want to pass down to my daughter and be like, daughter, this is what interacting with friends and potential partners is like in real life. It's sad, but it is that way. And you don't think it's that way because you don't want to think it's that way, because it's supposed to be love and it's supposed to be connection. It's supposed to be, wow, we vibe. It feels right. It just feels good. And then you realize, oh, people actually use feelings to pretend. Oh, people actually use ideas and concepts that aren't even theirs to project and make you believe things that aren't true, so that you can behave and do things that work and benefit them, and so that they can give the least amount to you. They're not looking at it like we're partners. They're actually looking at it like you're someone I can use to benefit me, and then I could just jump off you and jump into someone else and something else and move on. That's really how it's being seen in many ways. So I would not be doing my daughter or my daughters, all the daughters of the world, I would not be doing them a service if I told them, trust your heart and give of yourself freely and be who you are naturally. Yes, I want her to be that with herself. I want her to learn what can be used against her. Not so that she can do it to others, but so she can recognize what it is before overly giving of herself in the wrong ways to the wrong individuals. It sounds a little bit, Capricornian, but we are in the Capricorn full moon. And I love Capricorn. I'm a Capricorn moon. I just have to love. I had to learn to love it, whether I liked it or not. And even though I had a lot of the qualities of Capricorn that I was consciously proud of within myself, there was a lot of it that I didn't like, that I rebelled against, that I looked at as, ugh, I hate that part. I hate that part. I don't like that way of this. Whether that was with internalized or projected outwardly, those aspects, it's like, ugh. But you don't get through that until you actually really observe it, and observe it by putting yourself in those shoes, whether you like it or not. You have to see what is there. As much as we want to close a blind eye to a certain individual because we want them to be this beautiful soul that we see, sometimes we have to be willing openly to understand that individuals can pretend really well, and individuals can in fact invest in ways that to you would seem useless. Why would you waste your time investing in that if that's not where you want it to go? But you don't see that investment to them in the short term is not a big deal for what they know they're going to get in the long term. And you don't know that what's playing out on, that's why they say don't let the right hand know what the left hand is doing, kind of thing. That's what an illusionist can do. You don't really know how this connects to that or that connects to this. And it's not that you want to live in a world that is like this, but when you say the game of life, it's because it's a game. And most people are walking into life treating it that way. And you are not a person with feelings and special and someone to protect and nurture and take care of. You are either an opponent, you are, what do you call it? I guess leverage for them, or you're a pawn in the game for those that are actually playing to win at life. They have to play this way. That doesn't mean that their intention. It's like, let's say a cop that's trained to shoot to kill, right? Just because they can kill doesn't mean that there's no compassion. Some use it as, hey, I'm trained to kill, so boom, the first shot they do, just because they can, they do it. There's no compassion there. There's none of that. But you'll have every once in a while one with a heart, one that just because the rules say I can do it, just because I can't get in trouble for doing it, let's assume, right? Let's say you're in a war zone, whatever it is. And let's say all the justification is there. Oh, this is part of the enemy camp or whatever. A true heart will see a true heart and cannot harm the innocent. So we're not talking about just children. We have adult men can be innocent too. And not necessarily in all aspects of life, but in certain areas of life, you just don't play with someone's innocence. And the people that do play with innocence are really callous, really don't understand the truth of the game. They're looking at the game just to win, and they don't care. They'll destroy at all costs just to win. But in the long game, in the real game of life, it's how much compassion can you display despite everything telling you you have every right to take that or take that away from someone. You can go ahead and take it away and it looks like you're winning at the game of life. But in the game of eternal life, you're a piece of shit and you lost. Because in the real game of life, it's how much courage do you have to do the right thing even when nobody's looking. Because you know that even if nobody in the physical is looking, there is God's eye looking. And look at God however you want. It's a consciousness of truth that you can't hide from, no matter what. So when you're of impure heart and you're of impure heart doing something to cause someone a disadvantage for your benefit, you know that there is a God's eye that's watching that. And you could win in this life even and look to appear as if you're winning. But in that space, you know, the universe knows that you didn't really win until you made that right. So that's my message.